Hey y'all, welcome back. Today I decided to share with you how I decorated for Valentine's Day. I typically don't do very much for Valentine's Day, but new house, new excitement. So if you are not subscribed, please consider doing so. So I take a little bit of a piece of sandpaper and sand off some of that red, and I go back in with my ballerina slipper chalk paint, which is some of my favorite chalk paint, and I'm just gonna paint the heart here. I decided not to go with red because there was so much red from Christmas. I'm kind of burnt out on red right now, to be honest. So all I do is take a light brush to it and go ahead and paint that heart and change the color just so that it's a little bit softer. And I'm just going to clean up some of the red that was left over. So I didn't want to keep the gold in those arrows and that feather at the back, so I went in with a Sharpie. And then I took some of this paint that I also got from Walmart in black, and I'm gonna paint over really lightly, just dabbing in some of that paint. Of course, it is not going to be perfect, which is actually what I wanted, because no arrow is this perfect, especially if the back is supposed to be a feather. So that's why I wanted to go in and just kind of put in a bit of paint, just sliding it on and brushing it, but not anything too perfect except for the lines. So I went in with a damp cloth and just cleaned up some of the excess. And if you look at the arrow at the front, I had to do it there as well. So the second item was $1, and so was the one before. This little heart box was actually 90 cents, not $1, excuse me. So I'm going in with the ballerina slipper pink one more time, and I'm just gonna paint the box. I'm not gonna paint the bottom because you won't see that anyway. And I'm also not going to paint the inside, just the sides. And y'all, this is a lazy DIY day because I'm actually doing this in between the time that Rob has to go to work and the kids are playing. So I really didn't want to make too much of a mess. So you're going to see that I use this foam board until I can't use it anymore. So I paint on that color. It's so cute. It took really well on this cardboard type of material. And this was actually on clearance. So it was $1, but I got it for 90 cents at the Dollar General. And I am riding the Farmhouse rustic train, so this is actually perfect. And it does look just a little bit weathered, just a little bit rustic, even though it's soft and it has that ballerina slipper pink. I do go back and clean up some of the edges because when I painted the sides, some of the paint spilled over to the front, but that was a quick brush to get it smooth. And I do love the way it came out. I'm using these little hearts. The whole pack was $1, and it's a ton of them, and they're various sizes. So I wanted sort of a 3D look. So I take this felt heart and add it to the middle of the top of my heart box. Of course, like I told you, I didn't want to stick with red, so I'm going to paint that. And then I'm going to add a little bit more detail to it in just a second. And this is actually my Waverly chalk paint. Got that from Walmart as well. So I'm going to add that with some of the ballerina slipper pink paint and go ahead and brush both of those on top of the box to change the color of the top of the box, the bottom of the box, and that heart. So if you can see there, I have both of those colors mixed in on that foam brush, and I'm going to start to add that to my box to make those changes. I do brush it quite a bit on the foam board before I add it to the box top because I didn't want the paint to be too heavy. I did still want that weathered rustic look where it did look like it was a bit distressed, of course. So I'm just gonna brush it on, but I did not brush it on very heavy, or I didn't press that hard at all. And you can see here, I was still trying to get rid of even more paint to go back over with a dry brush. I am gonna repeat the same thing for the bottom of the box on just the sides. Again, I'm not going to paint the bottom because you won't see that part anyway. So now I'm going to go in with this lace Ofray ribbon that I got from Walmart for 47 cents. Yes, 47 cents. So to keep up with the rustic, feminine, soft look that I'm going for, adding in lace is almost a no-brainer when you're going for soft and feminine. So I cut off just a little bit of it, and then I go in with this peaches and cream yarn, and I'm gonna add both of those and make a bow out of the lace and tie it with that yarn. I wrap it around to get 4 loops. Then I'm gonna take that yarn in the lightest pink of it and I'm gonna tie it in the middle. So I don't tie it too tight because I wanna make sure that I can still play around with the loops and get it to the shape that I want it. So I put it up there just to make sure it was cute. I'm gonna add just a dab of hot glue, and I'm gonna add the bow right away and just move a piece of that yarn to the bottom. A tip is that whenever the hot glue is still hot and you're trying to shape something like a bow, do it while the glue is still sort of hot so it can get as perfect as possible. And I do think it came out so cute. Now this little truck was just too precious. I got this one from the dollar store as well. I'm gonna go in with that chalk paint in gray. It's so cute, guys. I love this gray color, and I just light brush just gray onto the actual truck, and then I'm going to show you what I do with the hearts next. Again, lazy day DIY. Definitely not going to be making too much of a mess that I have to clean up. So I just continue here to put the gray onto the truck, and then you're going to see me start to try to blend in and soften some of the gray. I do this so that there's a good transition between colors, so that when I go and add in the ballerina slipper pink to the hearts, they look like they belong together, almost like blending in makeup. So you're going to notice that I'm going to start to kind of pat in the color because I didn't want to add in too much of the paint. And I also wanted to make sure that by the time I used most of what I added, that it could look like a seamless transition between the heart and the trucks. I was kind of thinking, like I said, how would I blend in makeup to try to make this look like a smooth, seamless transition? Then I go in with another scrap piece of sandpaper just to kind of rough up the paint just a little bit on both the heart and the truck. Now I'm going to use a towel just to kind of dust off some of the paint that came off of the truck, and there it is, all done. So now I'm going to take that lace ribbon, so cute, use my hot glue gun and add it into the back of the truck because eventually I'm going to hang this. So the next item I'm going to work with is actually the slat that came with the truck. So this slat was actually intended to hold the truck upright just in case you wanted to place the truck on the inside of that slat. But I decided, no, I'm going to use this for something else. So I decided to mix my own gray color. So I used a black and the white and then just kind of play with the color just a little bit. Now what I know is that this paint is going to dry just a little bit lighter than what I initially mixed, especially with the wood being as light as it is. So I just go ahead and paint it. I make sure to paint every single edge of it, every single crack or crease, and I'm also not going to paint the back of this because the back of it will not be exposed. So of course I just got my nails done and decide that, oh, I want a DIY for Valentine's Day, so you know, there's that. So you'll notice while I'm painting that the corners don't get painted in the video, but they actually do, guys. I promise. I actually do paint the sides, but I waited for it to dry just to hit up those corners real quick to make sure that my wooden slat didn't look crazy. You're also going to notice that I dab and slide that foam brush quite a bit. I'm telling you, the worst thing is when you're trying to do something farmhouse and you add too much paint. So what I do here to distress is use a damp towel while the paint's wet to get some of the paint off, and I like the way that this finish came out. This is actually my first time doing it this way. So I take another felt heart out of that pack and add in just a little bit of gray. I use the ballerina pink paint and make this one two-toned as well. So this is actually reflective of what I did with the hearts on the truck. And so I go in and just kind of smear on whatever is left on the paintbrush, which is still a mixture of the gray and the ballerina slipper pink. I get some more of that yarn, and now I'm actually gonna make a bow out of the yarn. So I wrapped it around a few times until I got the thickness that I wanted. I wanted this pop of color, even though it's not soft like the ballerina pink. I did want something that stood out, that was a little bit off from color from everything else that I was making, but that was still in the color family. And I think this was perfect because the yarn is kind of ombre almost as it changes color from light to dark. So all I did here was I added a little bit of hot glue. Again, while the glue is still sort of hot, that's when I play with my loops and I spread them out until it's what I prefer. $1 mason jar? Yeah. So I go in with my ballerina pink paint, and this thing painted so beautifully. I'm telling you, chalk paint is about the best thing. I don't think there's a single item I attempted to paint with chalk paint and chalk paint let me down. Same thing with this plastic jar. This was one of my absolute favorite buys of the day. I couldn't believe this thing was $1. Of course, I have a ton of mason jars because, you know, I just do. And I really do love that this one was just $1. It's plastic, and if I ever want to use it again, taking off this color would be so easy. So now you see me taking off some of that paint because I'm going to go back in and do another paint mixture of the gray and the pink. So I'm going to go ahead and add them in, spread them on this paper plate. Y'all don't laugh. I told y'all it was a lazy DIY day and I didn't want to clean up a lot. So all I did was mix the two colors in, only adding in just a thin layer of the mixture of the colors so that the gray didn't overpower the pink. And then I'm going to go ahead and add in some more lace. I added just a tad bit of hot glue to the lace, but I do not glue the entire lace piece because I'm a firm believer in doing only what's necessary, and I may use this lace again. So I only add in one more dab of glue just to close it, trim off the excess, and then go ahead and paint the top. The paint actually held well against the top too, guys. And there it is. So I added in some more of the paint with one of those felt hearts, and I took it off while it was still wet so that it could look somewhat 3D. It was not perfect, but in crafting, it doesn't have to be. It just has to be your style, and it just has to show great effort. This wooden F is something that I bought about a year ago, and I still hadn't used it. Well, today is the day, friends. So I go in with just the ballerina pink. The F was actually a purchase from Walmart, so the color was already this rustic white color. So all I'm doing is light dry brushing in some of that ballerina pink. One of the things that I noticed about me as a crafter is I will take items off of anything to turn it into something else, especially if it means I'm saving money. And I thought this was so cute, simple and cute. So now I'm going to add in some baby's breath to another item that I already had in these roses I got from Dollar Tree. This is what my foyer looks like, and if you saw my Christmas DIY decor video, the Decorate With Me, you will recognize some of these items. So I just kind of clean it off because of course it's dusty after the holidays, especially after taking down Christmas decor, and I just kind of play around with the order of some of the items. And then I'm going to slowly bring in everything that I just sat down and made. So I bring in my little truck and I hang it from some jute twine that I made into a bow during Christmas. I'm not going to hang this sign, but I'm also not going to take the twine off because, of course, I may use it for something else. I may hang that sign up, use it for a different season, I don't know. So here's my little slat that was supposed to go with the truck and my F. I love that this piece is dark and that it's a little bit different than the rest of the softer pieces that I add in. So I'm bringing in my heart box, another feminine touch. Still not regretting painting the inside. Then I bring in my mason jar, one of my favorites, and I love the way it looks up against the tin piece that I have here. So to soften up this really rustic, harsh piece, I add in just a little bit of lace. So this is where I'm gonna bring in my Dollar Tree flowers. All I did was put them together and I weaved in the baby's breath between each rose to try to make an even balance of both types of flowers. And this is how it turned out, guys. I do eventually make some adjustments and I moved the heart box over just a little bit. I'll point to it in a second and you'll see. But this was so fun. Usually I really honestly don't do anything for Valentine's Day, but I'm just so excited and so happy about the new house. I seriously may decorate for every single holiday. Look, moved it. Too funny. I changed my mind, guys. You know, hey, in crafting, sometimes you change your mind. But as always, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you. Subscribe, like, and share. And also, hey, go make stuff.